I'm going to title this one, I Didn't Before, but I'm Gonna Now. I didn't before, but I'm gonna now. And this is about relationships. You know, if you ever had a situation where it's traumatic and someone hurt you really bad, it's always good once that situation has been resolved. Resolved, you've gone your separate ways. It's for you to kind of spend some time by yourself and regroup, grieve the loss of the relationship for a while, and kind of do you for a while. Learn whatever lesson you need to learn from that previous situation and move on. I could speak from this because I was one of those type of people back in the day that had to have somebody back to back to back, sometimes 2, 3 at a time, because I didn't want to be by myself. I didn't want to look at myself. But there came a time and a place where I had no choice but to be by myself because of other things going on in my life. And actually that was one of the best times that I had because I had a chance to realize who I was, and I had a chance to look from the outside in and realize how dependent I was on the company of other people when I really didn't need it all the time. Y'all heard me say it. But if you're involved in a relationship with someone and you have insecure issues about whether or not they're being faithful or doing right by you, and it's to the point where y'all can't even communicate, you're arguing about it all the time, there's scenarios going on in your head that's don't even exist, but you done created a reality and you're projecting those negative feelings on this person who hadn't done anything wrong. They'll put up with it for a while because they'll figure, oh, well, they went through this trauma when they were younger, and there's a trauma that they went through and they never sought psychological help to resolve that. So really they should have done that before they got involved with anybody. Or they got cheated on and it was a mess. So you're trying to help. You're trying to think in your mind. You're trying to rationalize why they're being so irrational all the time, and it's ridiculous. It's like, they come to you with all these excuses after the fact when they realize that they were dumb, and then they start talking about how something happened to them, and that's how come they snap sometime, and this, that, and the other. But I look at it like this. I've come to terms with this. All of us have mistakes we need to answer for in our life, and I'm going to tell you something. There's two things I'm not going to do. I'm not going to answer for anybody else's mistakes, and I darn sure am not going to take the blame for something I didn't do. I ain't doing that shit. Not to make anybody feel better. I'm not going to take the fall for something that I did not do. And I'm not going to have you in my life every time we get together. We're supposed to be in love and doing our thing and enjoying ourselves. And I can't even breathe. I got to walk on eggshells around you because you have issues that existed before we got together. Not going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, she says so. He's having one of those fits again. Because I hear a lot of you guys do this. And, you guys need to stop doing this. When she gets into her feelings about something that you're not guilty of, instead of putting your foot down and shutting it down at that point, oh, no, you can't deal with the level of emotion. You're scared, basically, of the level of emotion she's displaying, and you can't handle it, so I just let her go on. So I go take a drive, or I go do some work on so I don't pay her any mind. That's not solving the problems, guys. That's not solving the problem. All you're doing is your silence. That's the case, because if you listen to some of my audios about silence and the different ways that people interpret it, your silence is approval to her. You didn't put her in check about that. If it's a situation where you've been working late nights or whatever to get some extra things done in the household, and she's assuming that you're having an affair and it's going on for months, and she won't keep her mouth shut about it, and you don't say nothing, you're validating her feelings. You're letting her go ahead and do it. Straighten that shit out. Straighten it out. Put your foot down and let her know you ain't going to hear it no more. But no, y'all can't deal with emotional intensity. You can't deal with the fact that she raised her voice. You can't deal with the fact that she's doing arm gestures. It's too much for you. You can't handle it. So instead of sitting there and witnessing her overly emotional antics, you can't handle it mentally. So you got to leave the room. You got to run away from it, thinking that it will just go away. What you're doing is adding gasoline to the fire. Because all she's going to do, she's already agitated. And the fact that you're not paying attention to her, the fact that you're not shutting the conversation down, you're not doing any damage control, all that's doing is validating that bullshit going on in her head. I'm telling you. It's not going to go away if you just keep ignoring her. No, what you're doing is you're making it worse. Because you're dealing with somebody who is not well. You're dealing with somebody who has a problem with closure. You're dealing with somebody who wants to be right all the time. And you're dealing with somebody who just refuses to let things go. And these are issues that require extensive counseling because this is something that was in her personality before you came along. And if you look at her history, she probably exhibited the same behavior before. That's how come a lot of her exes, you either can't get in contact with them or they don't have anything nice to say about her. And 9 times out of 10, this particular person is always the victim, is always somebody else's fault. I touched on this in previous audios. But the thing is, if you haven't done anything, and I've been in this position as a female because I've dealt with quite a few men, so don't get it twisted now. Not only females can get overly emotional, but men can because they can get overly possessive. The minute that you don't call as soon as you get off work, or the minute they don't think that you're home, you know, they're getting all macho and whatnot on you. Where you been? What you doing? How long does it take? How come you talking to him? How come y'all talk too long in the store? Who is that guy? Who? Yeah. So you guys are guilty of it too. And I'm going to tell you what my reaction is. And then, you know, some people might think it's right, wrong, or whatever the case may be. But if you're going on over and over and over again accusing me of something I didn't do, assuming that I'm having an affair with this person, assuming that there's going to be a relationship or anything like that, and I'm not even thinking about that person on that level, there's going to be one or two things I'm going to do. And I don't care if y'all agree with me or not. I'm either going to leave you alone, because I don't want to take the risk of having to deal with your attitude later on if I give you a second chance. Or I'm going to turn around and do the same thing that you're accusing me of just because. Because it doesn't matter whether I do it or not anyway, because you done created the scenario that I did it. So I might as well go ahead and do it. And I'm sure a lot of you men feel the same way. But I just wanted to let you know women feel the same way too. You know how many times I've been involved in relationships like that? Of course, they didn't last long. But what I'll start doing is I'll just start backing away. Look at the phone, see his name pop up. I'll find something else to do. Don't even return the calls. Canceling dates. Easing back. Then that's when some of y'all men really get crazy. That's when you start making popcorn calls. Don't call ahead of time trying to catch me in something. Showing up on my doorstep in the first thing in the morning at odd hours. Calling in the middle of the night. Popping up at the job. See, that's when y'all get crazy then. Because you can already sense that I'm on my way out. But you don't want to let that thing that you claim you own go. You hadn't even paid the cost to be the boss. But I belong to you now? No. And I'm a people person. I have friends of both sexes, and a lot of them, there has been no romantic relationship, no sexual encounters or anything with them. We are friends, platonic. And see, that's the problem with a lot of y'all that are overly jealous. You never had a platonic relationship with a member of the opposite sex. That's another reason why you're so damn jealous all the time, because you've been brainwashed in your mind that only men and women are the only thing they're supposed to do is reproduce. Every person you get in contact with that's a member of the opposite sex, you're supposed to have a sexual encounter with them. You can't have a platonic relationship just as friends and treat each other like human beings and not go to that level. And that's another reason why you're behind so jealous all the time. And you turn around and get around somebody like me, who deals with people on different age groups, different ethnicities, different religions, backgrounds, everything else, and you don't understand. So when you see me communicating someone that's different, but of the opposite sex, you automatically go to that route. Oh, she messing with them. So you know what? Depending on my mood and depending on what kind of day I'm having and depending on how much you got on my nerves, I will either leave you alone or I'll just go ahead and try it out for size. And I know that you people are like, well, that's not the peaceful thing to do, and that's not this, and that's not that. So please do me a favor and just quit it, because remember, this is a channel where I talk about real life and practical matters. I'm talking about real life in the real world, not what possibly supposed to be. I believe in positive energy and negative energy, but I also believe in a real world, okay? I'm looking at situations that's happening every single day, and people that I talk to, people that I encounter, people that I'm associated with, and the information that they give me every single day. I'm talking about every day, real life, real time. I'm not talking about that flower child Pollyanna shit. I'm telling you what people think. And I'm sure a lot of men will get on board with me on this, because like I said, there's a lot of women. Most of the time it's women that act that way, overreact in regards to members of the opposite sex. But there are some men too. But I'm just telling you how I would react. And I have done it in the past. I've done both. Had a jealous man one time going berserk and everything else. We only known each other a few months, trying to get to know each other. And every time we even went out in public, if I see somebody in the store that I know that was a friend of the family, member of the opposite sex, every single time had something to say when we got in the car. I said to myself, I can't deal with this little boy. I can't deal with this little boy. And then finally, when it came to a head, because I'm the type of person that I'll sit there and I'll take in the information for a while, but then you catch me on the wrong day, I'm going to call you out your name and everything else. And when we finally did have that blow up, and I called him everything in the book, plus his daddy, plus his mama, plus his grandmama, plus his great grandmama. I talked about all his ancestors all the way back to slavery days. It hurt him. He got wounded then. He was a wounded animal. All of a sudden, here come the pity party about how he was so in love with somebody back in high school and they hurt. Look, let me tell you something. Let me explain something to you about communication. Once you have hurt a person's feelings to the point where they do not trust you, you cannot go back to them with your sob story about how horrible and rotten and that somebody did. You can't play the victim after you hurt somebody at that level. His jealousy hurt me. I felt like it wasted my time. First of all, I was disappointed because what was presented to me and how he acted were two totally different animals. So I was already disappointed. So he was at 100% and it already dropped down to 90%. Then when he turned around and started acting jealous, that really dropped him down to like 50 or 60%, which is failing if you look in, if you're in school, because I don't do jealous. I don't do jealous. I act jealous when it's necessary to be jealous, but I ain't going to be jealous on the random like that. I am so past and beyond that. I used to do it back in the day when I was young and dumb and stupid and didn't know who the hell I was, and I was acting like a little girl and had low self-esteem and starved for attention. That's why I was jealous every 2 seconds, because I didn't love myself. But when you love and care about yourself, you ain't going to be jealous on the random like this. And the fellas can agree with me. Look, that woman sitting up there nagging you about something that's not even going on, and you didn't even think about it going on until she kept going on and going on and going on about it. And it got to the point where, number one, you don't want to be in her presence very much anymore. Number two, the sexual attraction is not there because you're so stressed out, you probably couldn't perform around her anyway. And then number three, you're going to be like, you know what, if she don't trust me to do anything right and I'm not doing anything right, I might as well take my ass on out there because it don't make any difference anyway. I'm going to get a hard time from her regardless of what I do. So there's no sense in me suffering. I might as well go ahead and enjoy myself. And that's the attitude I take. Look, let me tell you something. Dude want to act jealous all he want, And I had another situation that a dude was jealous and we were together for a while. It got to the point where I wasn't coming home the time that I would say I would come home. I make up all kind of excuses not to come home on time. And I'd be with another man. And for those of you who are male chauvinists, want to turn around and call me a hoe, but you could turn around and do the same thing. You need to check yourself. So don't even say how a woman shouldn't do that and you do the same damn thing. So shut up. Be quiet. I'm just trying to educate you here. But the point is if you're one of these people who are insecurely jealous no matter who you get with, and you wonder why you get cheated on all the time, it's your behavior. Whoever did whatever they did to you, I'm sorry that it happened, but what you should have done is seek some counseling or something, or spend some time and work on yourself before you got involved in the next relationship. And that's part of the problem right there, because you're transferring all them negative feelings into a new relationship with someone that they had nothing to do with it. And that person's either going to pull away from you, or they're going to do the thing that you keep saying, even though they didn't have it in mind to do in the first place. You're pushing them away. Don't be one of those people that's going to be doing it all their life, and then by the time you get my age, you just give up altogether. Then you be running around talking about these men ain't no good. They ain't no good. All they do is this. All they do is that. All they do. I don't need no man. I don't need no man. No, you're bitter as hell. You're bitter, bitter, bitter. Lemons ain't got nothing on you. So please, just get that fixed before you get involved with the next person. Because the next person may not take it very well. They might have anger management issues, and that can be a whole nother can of worms, and that can become very ugly. Just saying.